What will the Muslim army do when it has conquered your infidel land? If you don't want to convert to Islam, the Muslims will take your money in exchange for your life. This extortion is called jizya. Most of Westerners have no clue what jizya is and thinking that jizya is an example of tolerance in Islam. The most obvious examples of the implementation of jizya in the modern world is what the Islamic State has done to non-believers, in this case Christians, in terms of jizya. In the event where the Islamic State slaughters some 30 Christian Ethiopians in Libya on April 2015, the spokesman repeatedly pointed out that payment of jizya is the only way for Christians around the world to safeguard their lives.
But whoever refuses to pay a jizya will see nothing from us but the edge of a spear. The men will be killed, and the children will be enslaved, and their wealth will be taken as booty. This is the judgment of Allah and His Messenger.
When the Islamic State invaded ancient Christian regions around the Nineveh Plain, June 2015, it again declared,
We offer them, the Assyrian Christians, 3 choices. Islam, the Dhimma contract, involving payment of jizya. If they refuse this, they will have nothing but the sword.
The Islamic State is not alone in calling for jizya from Christian infidels. In 2002, Saudi Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman, discussing the Muslim prophet's prediction that Islam will eventually conquer Rome, said,
We will control the land of the Vatican. We will control Rome and introduce Islam in it. Yes, the Christians will yet pay us the jizya in humiliation, or they will convert to Islam.
A prominent imam, Sheikh Issam Amira, gave a sermon in the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem in which he lamented that too many Muslims think that jihad is only for defense against aggressors, when in fact Muslims are also obligated to wage offensive jihad against non-Muslims.
When you face your pagan enemy, call them either to Islam, jizya, or seek Allah's help and fight them. Even if they do not fight or initiate hostilities, fight them. Fight them. When? When they fight you. No, when they refuse to convert to Islam or refuse to pay jizya. Whether they like it or not, we will subjugate them to Allah's authority.
The Doctrine and History of Jizya. So what exactly is jizya? The word jizya appears in Quran Surah At-Tawbah verse 29, in an injunction that should be familiar by now. Fight those among the people of the book, which are Christians and Jews, who do not believe in Allah nor the last day, nor forbid what Allah and His Messenger have forbidden, nor embrace the religion of truth, until they pay the jizya with willing submission and feel themselves subdued. In Hadith Sahih Muslim 1731a, the Messenger of Allah Muhammad regularly calls on Muslims to demand jizya of non-Muslims. If they refuse to accept Islam, demand from them the jizya. If they agree to pay, accept it from them and hold off your hands. If they refuse to pay jizya, seek Allah's help and fight them. The second righteous caliph, Omar al-Khattab, reportedly said,
Any conquered infidel who refuses to convert to Islam must pay the jizya out of humiliation and lowliness. If they refuse this, it is the sword without leniency.
This theme of non-Muslim degradation appears regularly in the commentaries of Islam's authorities. According to the Medieval Islamic Civilization Encyclopedia, Muslim jurists came to view certain repressive and humiliating aspects of dhimma as de rigueur. Dhimmis, subjugated non-Muslim Christians and Jews, were required to pay the jizya publicly, in broad daylight, with hands turned palm upward, and to receive a smart smack on the forehead or the nape of the neck from the collection officer. Some of Islam's jurists mandated a number of other humiliating rituals at the time of jizya payment, including that the presiding Muslim official slap, choke, and in some cases pull the beard of the paying dhimmi, who might even be required to approach the official on all fours, in bestial fashion.
Put simply, conquered non-Muslims like us must pay for our lives, which would otherwise be forfeited to the Muslim conquerors.
Instead of taking our lives, they took our money.
Our lives and possessions are protected only by the payment of jizya.
Past and increasingly present, Muslims profited immensely by exacting jizya from conquered peoples. For instance, Amr bin al-As, the companion of Prophet Muhammad who conquered Christian Egypt in the early 640s, tortured and killed any Christian Copt who tried to conceal his wealth. When a Copt inquired of him,
How much jizya are we to pay?
the Islamic hero replied,
If you give me all that you own, from the ground to the ceiling, I will not tell you how much you owe. Instead, you, Christian Copts, are our treasure chest, so that if we are in need, you will be in need. And if things are easy for us, they will be easy for you.
Yet even that was not enough. Caliph Uthman later chided Amr bin al-As because
Another governor of Egypt had managed to increase our treasury twice as much as you had. You had to milk the camels, the Christians of Egypt, to produce more milk.
years later, yet another caliph, Suleiman Abdul Malik, wrote to the governor of Egypt advising him,
You better milk the camel more until it gives no more milk, and until it milks blood.
Little wonder Egypt went from being almost entirely Christian in the 7th century to today having a mere 10%, and steadily dwindling thanks to ongoing persecution, Christian minority. Related to the idea of institutionalized jizya is the notion that non-Muslims are fair game to plunder whenever possible. According to the jizya entry in the original edition of the Encyclopedia of Islam, first published in 1913, with or without doctrinal justification, arbitrary demands for money appeared at times. Even that medieval traveler, Marco Polo, whose chronicles appear impartial, made an interesting observation concerning the Muslims in Tauris, modern-day Iraq, in the 13th century.
According to their doctrine, Islam, whatever is stolen or plundered from others of a different faith is properly taken, and the theft is no crime. Whilst those who suffer death or injury by the hands of Christians during the course of a plunder-driven raid are considered as martyrs. These principles are common to all Saracens Muslims.
All this is echoed in recent times by the words of Sheikh Abu Ishaq al-Huwaini, spoken a few years ago, concerning what the Muslim world should do to overcome its economic problems.
فنحن في زمان الجهاد وقد أظلنا زمان الجهاد والجهاد في سبيل الله متعة الصحابة كانوا يتسابقون عليه هو احنا الفقر اللي احنا فيه إلا في سبب ترك الجهاد مش كنا لو كل سنة عمالين نغزو مرة ولا 2 ولا 3 مش كان هيسلم ناس كثيرون في الأرض واللي يرفض هذه الدعوة ويحول بيننا وبين دعوة الناس مش بنقاتله وناخدوه ناسرة وناخدوا أموالهم وأولادهم ونسائهم وكل دي عبارة عن فلوس كل واحد مجاهد كان بيرجع من الجهاد وهو جيبه مليان ليه معاه 2 3 شحطة و3 4 نسوان و3 4 ولاد اضرب كل رأس 300 درهم ولا 300 دينار ولا حاجة ترجع في مالية كويس لو هو راح عشان يعمل خطة تجارية في بلاد الغرب عمره ما يعمل الأموال دي وكل ما يتعصر ياخد راس يبيع ويفك أزمته ويبقى له الغلبة.
So, it was for well over a millennium, Muslim rulers and mobs extorted money from infidels under their sway as a legitimate way to profit. Much of this financial fleecing came to an end thanks to direct European intervention. Beginning in the mid-19th century, one Muslim region after another abolished the jizya and gave non-Muslims unprecedented rights, originally to appease Western powers, later in emulation of Western governance. The Ottoman Empire's Hat-i-Humayun decree of 1856 abolished the jizya in many Ottoman-ruled territories. Elsewhere in the Muslim world, the jizya was gradually abolished wherever Western powers were present. Today, however, as Muslims reclaim their Islamic heritage, often to the approval and encouragement of a West, now under the spell of multiculturalism, jizya, whether institutionalized as under the Islamic State or as a rationale to plunder infidels, is back. Even in the West, in 2013, a UK Muslim preacher who was receiving more than £25,000 annually in welfare benefits referred to British taxpayers as slaves and explained,
We take the jizya, which is our haq anyway. The normal situation, by the way, is to take money from the kafir, isn't it? So this is the normal situation. They give us the money, you work, give us the money, Allahu Akbar. We take the money.
academic lies about jizya. Yet if Muslims, from Islamic State jihadis to Egyptian university professors, know the truth about jizya, the West is today oblivious thanks to its leading authorities on Islam, Western academics and other experts and talking heads. Consider the following excerpt from John Esposito, director of the Prince Al-Walid Center for Muslim-Christian Understanding at Georgetown University, and a widely acknowledged go-to source for anything Islamic.
In many ways, local populations, the Christians, Jews, and others, found Muslim rule more flexible and tolerant than that of Byzantium and Persia. Religious communities were free to practice their faith, to worship and be governed by their religious leaders and laws in such areas as marriage, divorce, and inheritance. In exchange, they were required to pay tribute, a poll tax, or jizya that entitled them to Muslim protection from outside aggression and exempted them from military service. Thus, they were called the protected ones, or dhimmi. In effect, this often meant lower taxes, greater local autonomy.
Despite the almost gushing tone related to Muslim rule, the idea that jizya was extracted in order to buy Muslim protection from outside aggression is an outright lie. Equally false is Esposito's assertion that jizya was paid to exempt them, non-Muslims, from military service, as if conquering Muslims would even want or allow their conquered infidel subjects to fight alongside them in the name of jihad without first converting to Islam. In reality, and as demonstrated above via the words of a variety of authoritative Muslims, past and present, jizya was and is indeed protection money, though protection not from outsiders, as Esposito and others claim, but from surrounding Muslims themselves.
Whether it is the first caliphate from over a millennium ago, or whether it is the newest caliphate, the Islamic State, Muslim overlords continue to deem the lives of their infidel subjects forfeit unless they purchase it, ransom it with money.
Put differently, the subjugated infidel is a beast to be milked until it gives no more milk till it milks blood, to quote the memorable words of an early caliph.
There is nothing humane, reasonable, or admirable about demands for jizya from conquered non-Muslim minorities, as the academics claim.
Jizya is simply extortion money. Its purpose has always been to provide non-Muslims with protection from Muslims. Pay up, or else convert to Islam, or else die.
Shut up! You just shut up and pay up, okay?
In short, jizya is yet another ugly fact of Islam. Add to offensive jihad, imperialism, misogyny, slavery, etc. One that, distort as they may, the academics cannot whitewash away, even as the world stands idly by watching its resumption in the 21st century.